Hello and welcome to the Claret podcast, sponsored by NordVPN. All the information you need is in the link down below. I'm your host, Dan Rowlinson. I'm joined here by John Townley. We're filming this, John, before you head off on the Eurostar to France for the game against Lille this Thursday. And remember to use your NordVPN account on the public Wi-Fi you'll be using, of course. We're here today to predict the run-in. Now, we keep saying this is very difficult to do, and it is. But we're going to give it a go anyway, because we did this last year. With 6 games remaining for Villa, we're trying to predict the running for a top 7 finish. We've got Fulham, Brentford, Newcastle, Man United, Spurs, Liverpool and Brighton's fixtures in there as well. And we did a whole episode about how everyone is going to get on for the last 5 or 6 games of the season. This year, it's only Spurs that we're looking at, Spurs and Villa. If you are like me, John, and I think you are you now at the position where you are definitely saying Man United and Newcastle cannot catch us? It is not mathematical yet, but it would take an almighty fall off from Villa and a hell of a run of a form from both of those to go overtake us.
Yes, I am. Man United, I think I'm over it now. A few weeks ago, I was still saying I can't rule them out. I am ruling them out now. I think they have to win all of their games to finish above us. If we win one more, top 5 is nearly nailed on, put it that way. Of course, does it matter or not is the question that we will hopefully have the answer to on Thursday night. Because if we do, that means that Arsenal have gone through and City have gone through. Villa have gone through. The way I look at it is Villa and Leverkusen are like the 2 teams and the others two competitions. So they can, battle coefficient. Hopefully they both get to the final, that sort of thing. But then City and Arsenal, if they can just do their own thing in the Champions League, well, that boosts England's coefficient. And that's that kind of simple. So, we could be going into that Bournemouth game being a point or 3 points away from Champions League football, pretty much.
Man United and Newcastle have both played 32, so they have 6 games left. They're both on 50, so they can get to 68. Villa are on 63 as it stands with 33 games played, so we only need 5 more points for them to mathematically not be able to catch us. So say not even 5 points, because that's depending on them winning every single game. And they play each other. Newcastle and Man United play each other, so both of them cannot win every game anyway. I am also saying with you, and I have been saying for a while, I don't think either of them can catch us for 5th. We should now be looking upwards, looking at 4th and looking at Spurs. I don't think it's relevant to look at Man United and Newcastle, but for the sake of balance and fairness for anyone who is still concerned, their fixtures very quickly. Man United, Sheffield United and Burnley at home are their next 2. Again, could win both. Crystal Palace away, as we've seen, is not easy. They then play Arsenal, and they play Newcastle, both at Old Trafford, and then finish the season against Brighton away. Now, looking at those fixtures, I think Man United might win 4, maybe, but that's 12 points and not enough to catch us as we are now if Villa lost every game remaining. So that's Man United winning 4 out of 6. I'm not even convinced they do that, to be honest, but it's possible.
But again, we're doing that based off Villa having a
it means just getting no more points.
Catastrophic end to the season, which is very, very, very unlikely. I'm forgetting them, put it that way. I'm not looking below us.
For me, Newcastle are as irrelevant as Man United. They're obviously on the same level of points. They have a massively better goal difference than United. So that kind of like, it's an extra point for United because of the goal difference does not apply to Newcastle. When Newcastle beat Spurs on Saturday, everyone was going, oh, that's great for us, but can Newcastle now catch us? It's like, with the Arsenal result, it makes it, again, I think impossible. They could win 4 out of 6 or 5 out of 6. It means that Villa have to get nothing. We have to lose every game left, and barring an absolute catastrophic disaster, even if we had a crap run of form, I still back us to win 1 out of 5, and that would be enough.
All we've got to do is get like 4 points, and we can finish it with Newcastle, even if they win like pretty much all the games. So it's they're again behind, not bothered, not thinking about it. I think we need to just think about let's finish 4th, because that we know obviously is Champions League, and again this week we can, we might still up top 5 coefficient. Who knows? Maybe we don't. But we're in a fantastic position to get 4th now, and that's what the focus needs to be. I think even that Liverpool game at home, we'll go on to it in a minute, Dan. But even that, I'm licking my lips. I'm looking at it and thinking, well, if Liverpool are out the title race, then which they could be Monday night, which I know hasn't gone down well with fans, but I'll be honest, I think it gives us a better chance of beating them because it's under the lights. It's like prime time, all eyes on Villa Park. Those Liverpool players will want to put in performance for Klopp, but also there's a bit of pressure to do that. For us, it's let's sew up Champions League football, because I think by the second last game of the season, that could be the case. I think.
Imagine that. Imagine going into that Liverpool game, the last game of the weekend, knowing this is Klopp's last away game. All eyes on Villa Park. If we win with a raucous atmosphere, and we all know what the situation is pre-game, if we win, we guarantee 4th. what an unbelievable position that would be in.
That's how football changes. And, that Liverpool game seemed for me anyway quite daunting a couple of weeks ago. But now you're thinking, well, actually, that could be it for us. I think Tottenham play Man City a couple of days later. So we can... We'll go on to it. I've done a bit of the looking because the context of the fixtures is really important for me. And we'll get on to it. But that is like a little teaser, I suppose. That Liverpool game, I'm pretty certain, comes before Tottenham play Man City. So those two games could be huge.
Yeah, before we look at those two, again, just for balance, because I want to be fair, Newcastle's fixtures, Palace away, Sheffield United at home, Burnley away, Brighton at home, Man United away, and ending the season at Brentford. Pretty winnable games. Again, they could win 5 out of 6 in theory if they were playing to 100% of their capability. You're talking about not record runs of form, but for a team to win 6 out of 6 at the end of the season is, unless you're Man City, pretty unheard of. I don't think anyone is going to do enough behind us to overtake us. And again, all that comes with the context. I'm sick of saying it. Villa doing nothing for the last 5, which also is not going to happen. So that's Man United and Newcastle out of this conversation, but they're in there for the sake of balance. I do not care about either. Aston Villa and Tottenham, those are the two that we're focused on. I think we will both, as I've just said, finish 4th and 5th, depending on what order we're about to try and work out. People may be looking at it going, well, maybe we can catch Liverpool now. Well, so we're only 8 points behind. If we beat them in a few weeks, maybe third's on the
table. Relax.
We're going to stick with 4th and 5th.
You were going into it, maybe we catch Liverpool now. And then just...
Yeah, let's all just calm down for a second. If we finish 3rd, though. No, when we did this last year, we did all of Villa's fixtures, and we were like, right, win there, draw there, lose there, win there, 10 points. Yeah. For Spurs, for Brighton, we did it like that. For this year, we're going to go kind of match day by match day of them versus us, and kind of get to the end. Because like you say, who plays who, when, and in what order, whether it plays into it or not, but going into the Emirates yesterday, knowing that Spurs have already lost, has to have an importance that has to be part of a factor, subconsciously or not. If I was a Villa player, I'd be thinking, if we win today, we already know we're capitalising on their downfall. And we've said before, when Spurs lose and we lose as well, we kind of go, oh, well, we've not lost ground. But it's important to capitalise on that and make up some ground when they drop points. And that's what we did at the weekend. And yeah, we're going to go through fixture by fixture. 5 games left for Villa, 6 for Spurs. This weekend coming up, Villa play Bournemouth at home. Tottenham don't play. Massive in terms of the psychological factor again, that Villa can go into that game thinking if we win, it's 3 points gained on Spurs, who will not be playing this weekend and have to play catch-up already. And yes, games in hand, but points on the board.
Points on the board.
Massive.
Spurs don't play this weekend, as you say, Dan. Villa do. If Villa were to beat Bournemouth, we go 6 points ahead of Tottenham, right? And that's before Tottenham host Arsenal. So Tottenham have a break on Arsenal. So I think that game will actually be quite balanced. We'll see. I don't know if Arsenal...
Spurs will want to beat Arsenal to stop them winning the title, if we've not already stopped them.
Yeah, but equally, Arsenal will have to win that game to stay in the title race. So but whatever happens there, Villa could be 9 points ahead of Tottenham before that game.
Because we played Chelsea before on that weekend specifically, yeah.
Right before, on the Saturday night. So if we beat Bournemouth, 6 points ahead of Spurs, and then you go into the Chelsea game knowing we could have 9 points on Tottenham. Yes, they have games in hand. They might have like 20 games in hand at that point. No, it'd be like 3, I think. But 9 points is a huge psychological.
No, and they've got these games now, but they have to win them.
Exactly, and they might. Yeah, I put them down to get a point against Arsenal. I put them down to beat Chelsea. I've still got them to have less points than Villa at the end. So I might ruin the video. But that psychological edge is huge. And what I would say is Tottenham's fixtures at the end of the season. Yes, they do play City, but they have probably 6 points in Burnley and Sheffield United. Villa do need to kind of build a head of steam here a little bit. So yes, 9 points would be like, oh my God, what a position. But at the same time, I think we probably need a bit of a gap for the end of the season because I think Tottenham probably have a bit more about them maybe in the last weeks of the season. But if we're so far ahead, then yeah, psychologically that is going to have an impact for certain. But I just wanted to get that ahead because that's our next 2 games. But yeah, weekend would be Bournemouth for Villa and then Man United, although we're not talking about them. They don't play either, and neither do Tottenham. So yeah, we could be 6 points. Well, that's the incentive, isn't it? It's 6 points on 4th. It doesn't matter how many games Tottenham have got left. 6 points is a very, very healthy gap with only what would be then 4 games of the season remaining.
I only ever really look at a couple of fixtures ahead of where we are at the moment, but having looked at the 2 fixtures now, the whole list in front of me, we play before Tottenham every game, apart from the last day of the season. Well, obviously, we kick off at the same time. So we play 21st, they don't play. We play 27th, they play 28th. We play Brighton away on the 4th of May. They play Liverpool on the 5th. We play Liverpool, obviously, on the Monday Night Football on the 13th. So Tottenham will have played Burnley on the 11th. Spurs play after us in their game in hand on the Tuesday, the 14th of May. So the day after we've played Liverpool, they play their game in hand. And obviously the final day of the season, we all kick off at the same time. So every week now for the rest of the season, we are always going to kick off before Spurs.
I didn't know that. I only looked ahead for the next few games. But if it's every game, I think that's a huge advantage for Villa. I really do, because there isn't pressure on us.
Continue to put the pressure on.
There isn't pressure on us to. Well, there's pressure, but there isn't pressure knowing, Tottenham have just won a last-minute goal or whatever, because they usually do that. And then we've got to go again. I was listening to someone, I forgot who it was now, a former player. I can't remember who it was, but things like last minute. Eric Dyer, actually, not former player. Eric Dyer said something along the lines of playing after Bayer Leverkusen most weeks was horrible, or has been horrible this season, because they'd always score late goals, because that's just how they. How they've won. Well, it's not the only way, but they score a lot of goals this season, right? And for Bayern Munich to then come after their games, it's so demoralising, because you're thinking, gearing up for the game, all right, if we could go 2 points ahead of them, or close the gap to 2 points if they draw. Oh, they've scored. We've got to climb the hill again. That is a huge advantage for Villa, I really do think.
Okay, so we said we were going to go fixture by fixture and kind of win here, lose here, and all that kind of stuff. I think that's probably a little bit too difficult to predict, so we're going to save that for a second.
Yeah.
The weekend that we played Brighton, which is away from home on the Saturday, Spurs have got Liverpool away. If we get something against Bournemouth, something against Chelsea, something against Brighton, at that point you're thinking, well, this is going to be really, really difficult for Spurs unless they've won all their games as well, which I don't see happening. We then play the Monday Night Football against Liverpool, like we said, our last home game of the season. The importance of that. They will have just played Burnley on the Saturday before. Maybe Burnley are scrapping for their lives. Maybe they have to win there to stay up and give themselves any kind of chance. These are the narratives that we're now getting into, that everyone is fighting for something. And the flip side of it, maybe Burnley are already relegated, and that gives them some kind of freedom to, you always get a weird result, don't you, at the end of the season where somebody's already been relegated. So maybe Burnley go to Spurs and they're already down but happen to win. There's too much chaos to go, well, that's a win, that's a defeat, that's a win, because literally, as we know, anything can happen. And obviously the final game of the season, we're away at Palace, they're away at Sheffield United, where, again, both teams could win, and maybe it's already over by that point. It sounds mad. There's 5 games left, but there's still a long way to go. There is going to be twists and turns. We will lose games that we think we're going to win. We will win games that we think we're going to lose. See Brentford, see Arsenal. I think we're in a really, really good place, and technically, I guess, if we were to win every game, we'll finish 4th.
Yeah, and I think that is the point. You over the course of the season, or even over the course of 2-game period, Villa tend to get the results that you'd think they would if you looked at it. I don't know, if you look at it over the course of a month, when people say, oh, here are the 6 games Villa play, how many points? I bet usually it's about similar to where you think it will be on a good.
They might just not come where you think they're going to.
Precisely that, and that can happen for Tottenham as well. But the point is that I think Villa have got a few winnable games actually in their running now. We've done Arsenal, we've done City, they're out the way. Villa can win all of their games. I don't think they will, but they will go into all of their games thinking, right, we can win this, and that genuinely believe that. And that is a situation that Tottenham aren't in. They won't be. Yes, they can beat Arsenal, but I don't think many will say that they will. Liverpool away, don't think so. Chelsea away, possibly so. Man City at home, probably not. That could be a game that Man City need to win to wrap up the league. So those games have all got little bits and bobs in them for Tottenham. Villa, Bournemouth at home, they're favourites. Chelsea at home, favourites. Going to Brighton away, they're probably favourites, considering
Got
Brighton.
A decent record against Brighton.
Yeah, Brighton are below Chelsea now. Good team, especially at home. Liverpool at home, depending on the context, Villa might even be favourites for that in some quarters. Palace away, Villa are favourites. And that is, it comes with a bit of pressure potentially, but just say they're playing before Tottenham as well. So there's opportunities there for Villa to just build up and build up and build up. Tottenham then got to play Liverpool, then they've got to play Chelsea, then they've got to play City. It's a real psychological challenge they've got there.
From Spurs fans' perspective, and Ange keep not bothered about the top 4 and all this rubbish, for them, they're going to put all their energy into beating Arsenal. And then if they lose to City and they lose to Liverpool and they lose here and there and they finish 5th, and as we've said, maybe at that point they know that 5th is the Champions League as well, and maybe they're not bothered. They might put everything into beating Arsenal and then fall off a cliff anyway. And if they do, that's great for us.
Their running is tricky, but they're not going to lose all those tricky games. I just don't think they will. I can see them
they'll get something somewhere.
I can see them getting a point at Liverpool. I can see them beating Chelsea. Not all of those things, but some of them will happen. City have got a fantastic record against at home, so it looks daunting for Tottenham. But I don't actually think the fixture list is horrifically bad. I think it's just as you said earlier, Dan. They're going after Villa. If Villa do their job, Villa have got 4th. crazy position to be in. You just hope that Bournemouth game we don't let ourselves down and drop points, because then you're getting a feeling of now we've got to beat Chelsea, and you're kind of in that psychological element of, again, what are Villa going to do in the next weeks? But I think, to be honest, dropping points to Brentford, but then beating Arsenal away, it just proves that, as we said earlier, over the course of a period, Villa will get the points that they need to achieve what they want to achieve.
Obviously, for this weekend for Bournemouth, we've got to navigate Lille first, and then see how much effort that takes us out of it for Sunday. Didn't affect us last week. I know we played at home, but West Ham lost after playing in Europe. Arsenal lost after playing in Europe, obviously. Villa navigated Lille at home and then go on to beat Arsenal. Get the job done at Lille away on Thursday and get the job done against Bournemouth. And you've not wrapped up the season, but you've put yourself in a great position to be in a semi-final in the driving seat for fourth. That is what this week brings. That's madness. The semi-final, if we are to get there, is the 2nd of May and the 9th of May. So that will be the night that Chelsea play Spurs, with the semi-final first leg. And for us, that'll be before we go to Brighton, which will be moved to the Sunday, of course. So it's currently the Saturday, but it would be the Sunday, which is the same day that Liverpool play Spurs. So when we're talking about playing before them, if we get to the semi-final, Brighton will be moved. Just to wrap up this video, John, because I'm wary of kind of rambling on too much about massive hypotheticals. I don't want to go through the fixtures in terms of win, draw, but for Spurs, 6 games, how many points? For Villa, 5 games, how many points?
The way I've been doing this in the last few weeks, because I've been updating it and editing and whatever, my little fixture list I've got here, but I've been doing it almost like as a maximum that I think Tottenham would get. Not a maximum, because obviously that's 4 points, but almost like a positive outlook for Tottenham and a bit of a negative one for Villa to kind of balance it a bit, because I don't want to say, Villa are going to win there and win here. And Villa have actually exceeded my expectations and Tottenham have gone lower, so that kind of shows where I'm at. I've put Tottenham down to get about 10 points from their next 6, which would be 3 wins and a draw. So I think they'll draw against one of Arsenal at home, Liverpool away, or Man City at home. I think there's probably a draw in there for there somewhere. I think they'll win at Chelsea, and I think that they'll obviously beat Burnley and Sheffield United as well. So that's about 10 points for Tottenham, which puts them on 70 points.
That's interesting, because I was going to be pessimistic towards Villa purposely and say 7, which gets us to 70 as well. So it might go down to goal difference on the final day, but that's me being pessimistic.
But I think being pessimistic. And I'm pessimistic all the time with Villa, but I just think we've got 3 wins in us. I really do think.
Agreed.
I look at it,
I actually think we've got 4 in us.
Yeah, you push it further. Like, it's that we do have it in us, and 3 I don't think is pushing it. I think that's just a level. I think we've got 3 wins. I actually put us down to get 10 points ourselves. I think there's 3 wins and a draw in there. Is the world so perfect that Villa beat Bournemouth and they beat Chelsea and go to the semi-finals and they've just beaten Arsenal, they get past Lille? Probably not. But I've put down 3 points against Bournemouth and Chelsea.
Done that.
But I guess I'd rather group it as 4 points on the next 3 games. So Bournemouth, Chelsea, and Brighton away, 4 points. 7 points, which is that's only 2 points off maximum. But I think we've got the capacity to do it, especially if we have the motivation, as you say, to be playing for Spurs in those 2 games against Bournemouth and Chelsea. So and then I've got us to beat Palace on the final day, because I think we can. If we can put ourselves in a good position, we'll be playing with less stress and we're playing with more confidence, I think, rather than pressure.
If we do know, even by the semi-final stage, that 5th is enough for the Champions League and we've already secured 5th, we don't need to win at Palace away and we don't need to win at Brighton away. We can rest players because we've got an important semi-final coming up, and that's an amazing position to be in, and one that is genuinely within our grasp. And what an unbelievable season that would be.
That could be
like 3 weeks away.
After Villa play Lille, it's mental to think that. Wow.
We could go into Bournemouth.
Levels are going all over the place. Like.
We could go into Bournemouth knowing if we win, we're guaranteed to finish 5th, and 5th is enough for the Champions League.
Yeah, if we beat Bournemouth, it could be like, yep, Champions League. Just the way that we're talking is just like, surely that's not going to happen, but it could. But it won't.
No, well, it won't. But I'd still back us to do what we need to do. John, thank you very much for joining me. As always, it's been a pleasure to chat. Lille is on Thursday evening. We'll be doing a post-match for that, and then leading up to that massive game against Bournemouth at the weekend as well. John, in a word, to end this show, will Villa finish 4th, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, me too. Thank you very much for watching or listening, and we'll see you all on the next one. Bye-bye.